In this video we're going to have a look at how we can add or even subtract two numerical fractions together. So let's take the example 3/4, so 3/4 plus 1/10, so 1/10. Okay, so first of all, actually, what I'd say is if you were trying to calculate that and you had a scientific calculator in front of you, I would just put it into the calculator straight away and just work it out from there. If you don't, or even if we have some algebraic symbols in there and we won't be able to use our calculator, this is the method that we can always fall back on. So first of all, we need to make sure that the denominator, so that's the lower part of the fraction, needs to be the same value. So at the moment we've got 1 as a value of 4 and the other is 10. So as it stands at the moment, we can't just add those two fractions together. So the easiest way to make sure that they have the same denominator, so the same lower half of the fraction, is to use a method called cross multiplication. So if we multiply our first fraction by 10, so essentially we cross multiply that one by 10 and our second fraction by 4, they will both then have a denominator of 40. So let's work through that. So we're taking our first fraction, 3, and we times that by 10. And as a fraction, we then take the 4 and we times that by 10 as well. And then we're adding onto that our second fraction, 1, and we multiply that by the denominator of the first, which is 4. And then as our fraction, we then have 10 times 4. So what that gives us is 30/40 plus 4/40. So you can now see that the denominator of them both is 40. So now we can just add those two fractions together, which gives us 30 plus 4, 34/40. Now, mathematically that's correct, 34/40 is a valid fraction, but what we can do is we can just simplify that one step further. So 34/40, both of those numbers are divisible by 2, so that means it simplifies to 34 divided by 2 is 17, and 40 divided by 2 is 20. So if you were to put 3/4 plus 1/10 straight into a calculator, you would get 17/20. Now it's important to realise that at this first stage here, we haven't actually changed our fractions in any way. So we've kept it as a balanced fraction. What we've done to the top half of the fraction, we've also done to the lower half of the fraction. So we've times the top half by 10 in this one, and we've multiplied the lower half by 10 as well. So nothing has changed in that fraction. It's still 3/4. The only difference is it's been multiplied by 10 on both the top and the bottom, turning it into 30/40. The same obviously applies for the 1/10. We've multiplied the whole lot by 4, so both the top and the bottom by 4, so it's then 4/40. So when you're doing these sorts of calculations, it's important that if you are multiplying it, you do multiply the top and the bottom of the fraction, otherwise you change the value of that fraction.